This is Mike from MPCstuff.com. Right now we're going to install the pad sensors on this MPC 4000. This is one of our custom black 4000s, and we're going to install some new pad sensors. First step, you're going to need to take the side panels off. Each side panel has 4 screws. So we're going to take the side panels off with the 4 screws on each side, and then go to the next step. Now on each side, you're going to see screws underneath the case here. So we're going to pull these screws up under the case on each side, and you'll also see a screw right here holding the case, and here. Take these 2 out on each side as well. Now on the back side, you're going to see 3 screws here. We've already taken ours out, and we're going to go ahead and pull those ones out as well. Now on the underside, you're going to see these screws holding in the front panel. So we're going to pull those screws out to get the front panel off. The front panel's off. You'll see under here, there's screws that are holding the top panel on. So we're going to pull those out so we can get underneath this top panel so we can work with that. We're also going to need to get these off. These, you're going to need a special Allen key to get off. If you don't have them, you can get them at Home Depot or any hardware store. A hex key or an Allen key is what they're called. So we're going to pull those out now. Now that we have that all off, we'll be able to lift up our casing. So let's pull off our casing now. Now once the casing's off, if we're going ahead and changing out buttons or something like that, we can work with all that now to put on our, say the MPCstuff black button kit. If you got the thick pads or something like that, you can go ahead and install the pads, and then you would just have to put the casing back on. We're going to go a little farther here and show you how to do the pad sensors. The first step for the pad sensors is you're going to see the pad sensor tray is being held on here by these screws holding it in. So let's get those out first, and that's going to give us access to pull this up to get underneath here to work with it. Once all the screws are out, you'll notice this will just fold forward, and you'll see underneath that your sensor is being held in with a thickness that's on top of the sensor. Make sure you save this part. It's very important to put this part on the new sensors when you install them. There's nothing holding this in, so you can just pull that straight out, this ribbon here, and then we'll start working on putting the new sensors on. All right. Now we have our sensor tray out. You're going to notice there's a plastic thing here. This thing gets lost a lot, so if yours doesn't have this, don't worry about it. It just means somebody's changed those sensors out again and lost it. So you're going to go ahead now, you're going to take these 2 screws out, that way you can get to the sensor, and we're going to pull off this sensor here and match it up with our new one. I'll go ahead and show you that now. Alright, so now I have the sensor here off, and I'm going to pull this off and get this off. I guess this was our issue with these sensors here. It looks like somehow, over time, this ribbon and cable broke here. So we're going to pull this up. It's adhesive, so it's going to take a little bit of work. I only have one hand working with, so you just pull it up and take this off. Again, make sure you keep this little piece here because you're going to need that for the new sensors. So I'm going to pull this off and then show you how we add that to the new sensor. Alright, so now we're looking at the old sensor here and the new sensor. We're going to take this piece that's just like this on this and put it on the new sensor. The new sensors, keep in mind, unlike the 2000 and 2000 XL, this doesn't need to be trimmed. You're going to notice the one you get might be a little teeny bit taller, but at this point you're going to be better off not trimming it because that little teeny amount that you trim it, you got probably more chance that you'll cause a problem that's not really needed. So we're going to go ahead and take this piece off. You're going to make sure that you get it straight on here though, because if it's over or a little bit weird, it's not going to work properly. So I'm going to go ahead and take this piece off here and add it to here. If you don't have any adhesive on there, you might need to put something in there. If you have lost this part or yours doesn't have it, you might need to add pieces of electrical tape or something to make it thick so it will stay into that sensor clip. As you can see, I tore mine off and the adhesive stayed on there pretty well, so I was able just to add it to here onto the back side. This side you can actually feel is the connector area. So we're going to go ahead now and install this onto the 4000. Alright, now we're going to put back onto our tray. Remember this side is going to go up towards where we pulled off that part that holds the sensor. So make sure that you don't have any extra glue or anything. It can be a little sticky just as long as it's not a buildup. This one's perfectly fine. And then we're going to take the backing off of here. When you put the new one on, remember that you're going to have the holes on the bottom, the top right. See that? You're going to match that up there, and then you're going to match the hole up down here at the bottom. That way you know you're completely straight. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on here and then go to the next step. Okay, now I got it on there good, and I'm just going to make this go down here Make sure we don't have any bubbles or anything in there. Now we're gonna flip this back over and install the plastic part back on there. All right, so this is what it should look like. And now we're gonna put it back into the unit. So now we're gonna wedge this sensor back in here. Once we do that, we're gonna flip it back around and we'll be ready to roll. All right, now that we have that down and in, make sure when you slide it in there, it'll slide in at first and it won't actually grasp. So you gotta make sure it's in there all the way and snug so it won't pull right back out. So now that we have this all done here, we need to put our screws back into here to put this plate back on, put our pads back on. Then we'll go ahead and do the reverse of putting the casing back on. The casing will go back on just as it was before, and we'll put all the screws that we took out to hold the casing in and put it back on top, and then we'll be ready to roll. All right, usually before I wrap it up, I make sure that this is all done here, and we have this pad thing down, and then I test the unit. Make sure not to touch any of the internals or anything like that over here while you're turning the unit on without the casing on, but this is the best way to turn it on. That way you can test your pads. So go ahead and test the pads. The pads don't even have to be on here. You can hit straight sensors. Check, make sure they work, and then we'll get our casing on. As I said before, the casing is just gonna go on in the exact opposite order. You're gonna put the casing back on, put all the screws back in, put the side panels on last, and then you'll be all set and ready to go. You'll have your new pads, your new sensors, your new buttons, whatever you installed on the unit will be all set. If you need have any more questions or anything, you can email us at sales@mpcstuff.com, and you can purchase the sensors, the buttons, the pads, all types of parts for all MPCs directly on our website. Thanks.